Okay guys, Mealy Professor here. Just want to look at the data quickly about how I make my top 5 predictions. I know this is going to seem very basic, but all I like to do is just map the recent tournament winners on an Excel chart. And then I like to good old-fashioned line graph, because, the line graph could tell you, kind of show you directly where people are headed recently. This is the very basic thing I do to make all my tournament predictions. Of course, so far in 2024, we just have Genesis X, Collision 2024, Battle of BC6, Genesis X being the one super major, so you got to give the most credit to that. So if you could focus quickly on the darkest line here, it's like a dark navy blue line. That is the first place line. So for this specific line graph, the people who won, the people with the best graph score, are when you are touching this line. So you can clearly see, the best player so far of 2024 is Cody, because, Cody touched a line here. He touched a line here. He did go up to third there, but, he's been pretty close to the line the whole time. The reason he's better than AMSA, AMSA's score also looks pretty good here, obviously. But remember, AMSA got a 0 for this, that middle tournament, Collision 2024, because, he did not enter. So, that's a huge mark on AMSA. Even if he would have entered and got second, that would have been better. He would have been closer to this dark solid line for each tournament. But, AMSA does still have a pretty good linear line here. He's only, he's close to the dark blue line the whole time. Of course, Zane has a great line too. Zane, what is that, a third, and a second? Zane's been pretty close too. So, these are probably how I'm going to predict, my top 3 for the next tournament too, just because we see how close these 3 guys are to that dark blue line. And, this graph just kind of highlights, how these other guys are not really having good years. Like if you look at HBox's line, the Sion line, the light, super light blue line, he starts all the way up here. He does manage to take third, as we went over in our last video, but then, his line does go all the way up. So, when I'm making the top 3 predictions, I pretty much just try to take the guys who, are more consistent. I think making predictions about consistency. I think the top 5 players about the consistency in the majors and even the super majors. Genesis was our one super major this year. Usually there's more. This year there's only one super major. The other 3 majors, the other 2 majors so far are important too. That's what's documented on this chart. And you could even see, I wanted to put Mango or Joshman on this list, but their lines wouldn't even be on the screen because they're just so high. Even I did say Moki and where is it? J-Mook here. Moki rather would be the pink. J-Mook would be the not the darkest green, but the second darkest green up top. And the reason I tied them for 5th best player of the year so far is because both of their lines are fairly the same. We have J-Mook rather starting out here like a 5th place, but then he finished way up here like a 10th. It's hard to calculate. Because people technically tie for the higher positions. But then, he did have a good showing in the latest tournament, though, whereas, Moki did the opposite. He started out pretty good 4th and 4th, but then he went way up. I guess you could argue just based on this data, Moki's been a little bit better than J-Mook. Maybe in my last video yesterday, this weekend, I should have maybe put Moki 5th, J-Mook 6th. But I did tie them just because, maybe recency bias. J-Mook did do better in the last tournament. And he did knock Moki out of the last tournament too, the 3rd major of the year. But, you can't go by head-to-head matchup. You have to go by overall consistency. But, yeah, I always just like to make these charts quickly just so I could see it for myself, how guys are projected of how they've been playing recently too. And, I always do this. So earlier in the year, I was doing this for my early predictions of 2024. Now I'm doing it using, the data we have from 2024 itself. But right, so I just wanted to make a quick video showing this. I hope everyone's having a good weekend. And, you could really just look at this quick. Remember, this is just the winner's line here, this dark blue line. So, the closer you are to this line, the better of a year you're having. And, according to this graph and just the research I did, I am going to stick with, my predictions from yesterday where I have Cody as, the best player so far. Zane as 2nd best, and of course Ams as 3rd best, because those are the 3 that are just their lines are closest to 1st all year. And then of course HBox 4th, because he's the only one with a line that's coming even close to these top 3 spots. But yeah, okay guys, have a good weekend. Back to work tomorrow. Hope everyone had a good weekend and have a good Sunday. See you guys.